welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we are going to be making chicken tikka masala. And if that is not a dish that you've ever heard of or are familiar with, don't feel alone because I just had it for the very first time not that long ago. My sister had a birthday and we did a birthday dinner for her. She wanted to go to a local Indian restaurant that just opened up, and I had no idea what to order, and I ordered the chicken tikka masala, and I was just blown away. It was so good. There was so much flavor and different flavors than what I'm used to. So it was a real treat, and I did what I do. I got home and I got on Pinterest and I started looking for chicken tikka masala recipes. How can I make this at home? And I found one and I've included the link to the recipe in this video description. And I encourage you to go check it out and see what the original recipe was, which I haven't changed at all. I follow it pretty directly because it's really, really good. And it was just almost exactly like what we had at the restaurant. I really enjoyed it. I love that it comes together really fast. You do have to plan ahead a little bit. You do have to marinate your chicken. And so that's something that I will do before I go to work or on my lunch hour and give it time to marinate in the fridge. That takes about 10 minutes to get that put together. But then when it's time to start cooking, everything comes together really fast, 30, 40 minutes, and then dinner's on the table. It's a family favorite. And I also like that it's pretty inexpensive. The first time that you make it, I have to admit, it kind of is an expensive dish because there's so many spices. And if they're spices that you don't use frequently, then you have to buy them. And I kind of priced it out. And if you had to buy everything, like everything, you didn't have even the brown sugar or the onion or the butter, it would be about $60 total, which equals about $15 per serving. And that's pretty comparable to what we spent there at the restaurant for what we ordered. But the savings come in the next time you make it, and trust me, there will be a next time. You've already got all the spices. If you've already got all the spices, I priced it out to about $20 or $5 per serving. So once you make that investment, it's going to pay off. And so it's quick, it's inexpensive, everybody loves it, everybody's happy. And I hope that you are cooking along with me tonight so that you can hear it and see it and smell it and at the end taste it and enjoy it. So let's get cooking. Okay, so we're going to get started on our marinade, and the first step is to just chop this chicken into bite-sized pieces. Now I have chicken thighs here. My family prefers chicken thighs, but you can certainly use chicken breast if you would like to, or even paneer. My sister is not much of a meat eater, and so she prefers the paneer, which is actually a cheese. So we're just going to start cutting this chicken into smaller chunks. I'm gonna give myself some room here. And it's not super important that they're exactly the same size, but we do want them kind of close so that they finish cooking at the same time. If you have a bunch of big pieces and a bunch of small pieces, some are obviously going to cook much faster than others. And if you can see that there's some like fat there. My daughter doesn't like that. So when I find pieces like that, I just kind of get them off and toss them to the side so that they don't end up in the dish, grossing her out. And then I've got a son who loves those little pieces. So what are you going to do? Right, and now I'm going to go wash my hands. So now that we have our chicken all cut up and ready to go, we're going to start adding our marinated ingredients. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk about a few things with you guys. The first thing is measuring spoons. You're going to need some measuring spoons to measure out the seasonings that we're going to put into our marinade. And for those of you that are new to cooking or don't know, I just want you to be aware that this, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is a tablespoon and it is abbreviated TBSP. And then this is a teaspoon and it is abbreviated TSP. And as you can see, one is quite a bit larger than the other. So that's just something to be aware of as you're measuring out your ingredients. Don't get them confused. It's real easy because their abbreviations are very close to one another. The other thing that I want to talk about is my cheater ingredients. This recipe calls for garlic and ginger. And both of those ingredients are things that are not very quick to prepare. And I think that after this video, I'm going to do separate videos on how to prepare fresh garlic and fresh ginger. Obviously, fresh garlic and fresh ginger are always the best option, but when you're cooking a weeknight meal, you want it to go fast, you want it to be easy, you want less mess, you want less dishes. And so these are my little weapons. I've got minced garlic and I've got minced ginger, and they're in a bottle and you just squeeze them into your bowl and it's not messy and it's easy and it's fast. So just wanted you to be aware that you can use fresh ingredients, and if you want to, you can. These are another option. And then a third option would be powdered. There are times when I don't have even my cheater ingredients, and I will use powdered ginger or powdered garlic. And usually if you look on the bottle or on the packaging, it will tell you what measurement is equivalent to 1 clove of garlic or 1 tablespoon of ginger. So those are your options. You got lots of options. All right, so let's just start going down the recipe and adding the ingredients that are included in the marinade, but I am going to do the Greek yogurt last. So the next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. So I've got I don't have fresh lemon juice. I've got bottled lemon juice. This is another cheater ingredient. It's a lot easier than having fresh lemons on hand and definitely quicker and cleaner. 2 tablespoons. One and a half teaspoons of ground cumin. And it doesn't have to be, you know, exact. I don't worry about getting it perfectly level or anything. I just kind of throw it in. 1 teaspoon of garam masala. Half a teaspoon of chili powder. 1 teaspoon of salt. And since my teaspoon is already kind of dirty, I'm just gonna do probably about 3 big pinches of salt. 2 teaspoons of our ginger. And I don't measure this either. I just do about like that. And about an equal amount of garlic. Couple little squeezes there. Let me make sure that I have everything real quickly. I think we got everything except for the Greek yogurt. Now, the recipe calls for a cup of Greek yogurt. When I made this the first time, there was so much Greek yogurt that I couldn't find the chicken in it. So from experience now, I just put in a couple of spoonfuls like that. I don't want the chicken to be swimming in the yogurt. I just want it to be nice and coated. And then we're just going to start to mix this all up. And I know that sounds kind of gross. Sorry. Raw chicken and yogurt. Yum, yum. All right, so this looks good. We've got it all mixed up. The chicken is well coated in all of those spices and yogurt, and we are going to cover this with plastic wrap, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator. The original recipe says for chicken thighs, at least 15 minutes in the fridge. For chicken breast, at least an hour in the fridge. As I mentioned, this is something that comes together pretty quickly. I like to do it earlier in the day and give it lots and lots of hours because the flavor is better, it gets more tender. The marinade is more than just flavor. It's a science. The salt and the acid from the lemon juice are working together to tenderize that meat. And so if you can afford to give it more time, definitely give it more time. All right, my chicken has been marinating and now I am ready to start cooking the dish. And I'm going to start with rice. The chicken tikka masala is served over rice and with naan bread, which is an Indian flatbread. You wouldn't have to serve it with the naan if you didn't want to, or if you couldn't find it at your grocery store. The main thing is the rice, serving it over the rice. And I'm going to get that rice started now because the rice is going to take about 20 minutes to get done. And the tikka masala is going to come together very quickly as well. So I want them to get done at about the same time. Now, rice is not the easiest thing to make. I struggled with rice for a really long time, and a lot of people just have a rice cooker. If you have a rice cooker, please use your rice cooker. It is pretty foolproof. You follow the directions and perfect rice every time. Kitchen real estate at my house is pretty hard to come by. I have too many gadgets that I like and that I use. So I don't have a rice cooker and I make my rice on the stove, and it was a lot of trial and error. So I'm going to show you how I make my rice today, but I can't even guarantee that it'll work because you're using different pots, you're using different stove tops. It's anybody's guess. You just got to kind of, if your rice does not turn out, do not feel bad. I promise you it will be edible. It won't be perfect if it doesn't turn out, but it will be edible. Might be a little underdone or a little overdone, but you live and learn. You have to adjust. Either you didn't put enough water, or you cooked it too fast. The secret to rice is you need a pot with a tight fitting lid because rice really doesn't cook, it actually steams. So we're going to boil some water, we're going to put in our rice, we're going to cover it up with a lid, and then we are going to let it go. And we don't want the water to evaporate too fast because then the rice is underdone. And we don't want it to evaporate too slow because then it's mushy and yucky. So you just kind of have to practice or get a rice cooker. That's what my son says. Just get a rice cooker. Just following the directions that are on my bag of rice that I have purchased, I am going to measure out 1.5 cups of water. And I'm going to put that in my bowl, or my pot, I should say, my rice pot. And I'm going to turn this all the way to high. I want to get that boiling. And I'm also going to add salt to the water. I usually do about four big pinches of salt. And we're going to let that come to a boil. And at the same time, I have also measured out 1 cup of rice. And so I'm just going to have that at the ready. And then I am going to start prepping some of the other ingredients that are going to go in with our chicken. Once we start cooking the chicken, things tend to go pretty fast. So we're going to need to chop up our onion, and I'm also going to measure out all the spices that are going to go in. And I'm just going to have everything ready so that once I start cooking the chicken, it's all at my fingertips and it can go in just as quickly as I want it. And then I don't have to stress. Cooking should not be stressful. Now, while we do this, we have to kind of multitask a little bit. As I'm doing this prep work, I'm going to be listening for the boiling water behind me. Once it starts boiling, we need to put our rice in. So we just need to kind of be aware of what's going on back there while we are multitasking, chopping our onion and getting our spices together. Let's start by cutting our onion. And so you see I have a clean cutting board here and a sharp knife. And I also have a wet paper towel. This plastic cutting board tends to wiggle around on me a lot. So I'm just going to take this wet paper towel and I'm going to put it under my cutting board, and it's not perfect, but it definitely helps. And when you're cutting things, the number one thing to do is start to create flat surfaces. Like this is not secure to chop. So I'm just going to cut that. And now I've got a flat edge that is suddenly much more sturdy to start cutting on. I'm going to cut this in half, and we're just going to watch our fingers. And now we've got 2 flat edges that are also sturdy to cut on. For onions, oh, it is falling apart on me. This onion has many layers. It's ready to go. For onions, we do not want this skin. You can see it's very papery and it's kind of gross. I like to take off really not only that skin, but the whole first layer of the onion, because that first layer can be kind of tough too. So I'm just going to clean that up. And I'm going to chop off the end as well, because all of these little papery things end up on your cutting board and they're kind of gross. I'm going to do that with this half as well. Just take off that first outer layer. Chop off the end. And I think I'm going to attempt to put this baby back together. So just lay it flat. Try to get those papery pieces off of your cutting board. And then what I do is I place my palm on top of the onion to hold it down. And then I'm going to, here, I'll show you on this one since it's not falling apart as much. I come in halfway. So I'm going to put my palm down and I'm going to cut in halfway. And I'm not going to go all the way through the onion because I want some of it to stay together. Makes chopping it easier. I'm going to go about that far. And then I'm going to start making cuts this way. And I am convinced that the secret to cutting onions without crying is to just do it very quickly. And actually, I think I hear my water boiling back there already. So let's pause the onion cutting and let's go check out our rice. Okay, and you can see that that is definitely boiling pretty good. So I'm going to get a spoon real quick, excuse me. Okay, we've got our 1 cup of rice measured out. I'm just going to pour that directly in. I'm going to give it a stir. I'm going to cover it with my lid. And then I'm going to turn this down very, very low. You can't see my dials, but the lowest I can go is 1 and the highest I can go is 9, and I'm on like 2. I don't really want it to boil anymore. I just want to keep that steam going. And in my experience, this rice takes 18 to 20 minutes to fully cook. So I'm going to go set a timer for 18 minutes so that I don't get distracted and forget, which happens frequently. Set timers. So turning back to our onions, we've already cut this one in half. We've done it this way. And now I'm just going to start cutting this way. And just try to keep your fingers out of the way. Always, always be aware of where your fingers are. Okay, and then we're going to do, oh, it's still falling apart. These onions, oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to do this, the other one pretty much the exact same way. Cut into it this way. And then this way. And I just go until I start to get nervous. And then I say, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. And then because I do want this onion to be kind of small pieces, I just kind of come back through and make sure that everything's nice and small. Visually, check it out. See if you've got any really big hunks going on. All right, and that looks pretty good to me. So there's our onions. I'm going to set those aside, and then we are going to get our spices measured out. I just have a small bowl, and I'm just going to start measuring out the spices that the recipe asks for us to add all at once so that it's easy to just toss it in. And so those are 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. Got some brown sugar. Crashing in the kitchen. Okay, so 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. Again, doesn't have to be super accurate. It's not like baking. In baking, we would have to be pretty accurate, but in cooking, approximations are pretty good. And if you don't like something, you can kind of back off on that measurement. If you really like something, you can add more. If you haven't been able to notice yet, I love garlic. I always add way more garlic than anything ever calls for. The next thing is going to be 1 teaspoon of ground coriander. One teaspoon of ground cumin. One teaspoon of smoked paprika. And I went to the grocery store and they didn't have smoked paprika, so I'm just using regular paprika, and I have done this before and it still tastes delicious. So if you only have regular paprika and not smoked paprika, don't stress about it. And then 1 teaspoon of garam masala. And I'm just gonna kind of stir that a little bit. Okay. We are also going to need to add 1 1/4 cups of heavy cream. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure, that out now so that it's ready to go. And we are also going to need an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that opened so that it is ready to go as well. And the lid almost always wants to fall into your can. Be careful. These edges can sometimes be sharp. Just kind of fish that out, and then I can go throw that away. It's time to get started on our chicken, and so I'm just going to prepare my workstation over at the stove top, okay? I have a saute pan, and you can see it's got pretty high sides on this one. Since we're adding the cream and the tomato sauce, you want to make sure that whatever you're using is big enough to hold all of that liquid. So I've got that over here. We're going to need some oil for cooking our chicken, and I'm using olive oil, but you can also use vegetable oil if that's what you have on hand and that's what you want to use. I'm just going to put that over there so it's all within easy reach. We are going to need our onions that we have diced up. I'm going to put that over there. Our cream and our tomato sauce. Our little spice blend that we made. We are also going to need to have handy our ginger and our garlic. And of course, salt. Where is my salt? Here is my salt. And also, the recipe doesn't call for cayenne pepper, but the Indian restaurant that we went to actually offered 3 different types of spice levels. They had mild, medium, and super spicy. And my family, we don't like it really spicy, but we do like a little bit of spice. So I'm also going to put some cayenne pepper over there to just kind of sprinkle in and adjust it to the heat level that I want later on. So cayenne pepper. We have a whole station over there. We're ready to go, except for the butter. We do need the butter. We need 6 tablespoons of butter. And in case you were not aware, a stick of butter is 1/2 cup or 8 tablespoons. And if you look closely, most wrappers will have these little markings, and each one of those markings is 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to cut off 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to go put that by my workstation. I'm also going to get out a plate because we're going to cook our chicken first and then we're going to transfer it to a plate. And I am also going to get out a bowl. So have a plate and a bowl ready as well. All right, I think that we are ready to rock and roll. I am going to turn on this burner to medium high. And you can always adjust it. Like I said, every stovetop is different. If you're feeling like things are cooking too fast, just kick it down a little bit. If it's cooking too slow, kick it up a little bit. And I'm gonna put some oil in this pan, and that was probably too much, not gonna lie. But we do want it to be enough to coat the pan. So I'm just gonna swirl it around. All right, and we want to get that hot. And you can tell that it's hot enough when it starts to kind of shimmer and glisten. It's unfortunate that I'm working with only one camera. I wish that I had something that was like right over so that you could really see what's going on in my pots and pans, and that's just not in the cards yet. This is my first YouTube channel, or YouTube video. I can't go all out just yet. But hopefully, if the channel grows, I can start to do fun stuff with additional cameras and better angles for you guys. While that is heating up, I'm going to go get my chicken that has been marinating. Okay, you can see I'm tight for space around here. Now, the recipe says to do the chicken in batches to make sure that it gets really charred and crispy, but on a weeknight, I'm trying to go fast. I just don't have time for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour all of this chicken into this pan and I'm going to cook it. So let's go. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that's a nice sizzle. So we know that our oil was hot enough. I'm going to go get a spoon or something to move this around. And I'm just going to try to spread the chicken out in an even layer around my pan. And then we are going to just let that sit for probably, I don't know, 5 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to go get a glass of wine and take a few sips, and we will just let this do its magic for 5 minutes. Interestingly enough, this chicken, my 5-minute timer will be done about the same time as the rice. So we're looking pretty good, guys. Okay, and since my rice is getting close to being done, I have the benefit of a glass lid. I will show you. The rice looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see because there is some condensation in there, but there's no more moisture in there. The rice looks pretty dry now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the burner, and I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to leave the lid on. I'm just going to let that continue to stay warm and steam, and it will be ready. It will still be nice and warm and ready when my chicken tikka masala is ready. Okay, I just turned off my timer. It was getting close to being done. Now I'm going to start to move this chicken around. And the main thing that we're looking for is we don't want to see a whole lot of pink anymore. We want it to look pretty cooked. I'm not too worried if it's cooked 100% all the way through, because once we get the sauce put together, we're going to put the chicken back in and it's going to simmer in the sauce for a little bit. So if it's not fully cooked, that will finish off the cooking process. So we don't have to worry too much about whether it's completely done. But as I mentioned, I don't want to see too much pink in here. Just going to let it go a little bit longer. It's still looking, I still see some pink spots. Okay, and then I'm going to turn off my heat. This is looking done to me. And this is what we got the plate for. So I'm going to take my plate that I got out, and I'm just going to put the chicken on the plate to set it aside. And if you get a little bit of the juice on there, don't worry about it. But I am trying to separate the chicken pieces from the juice. Okay, and then once you get all the chicken out, we're just going to set that aside. And I also got out a bowl, and that is what I'm going to put all of this leftover liquid in. We aren't going to use it after this, but I just like to let it cool in a bowl before I throw it out. And I don't like to throw a whole lot of things down my kitchen sink, so I usually find something to put this in before I throw it in the garbage. So I'm going to set that aside too. And now we've got a pan. It's not clean, as you can see. I've still got some little bits in there, and as we cook the onions in this pan, all of those little bits are going to turn into some really nice flavor that's going to add to the onion. So I'm going to turn my burner back on, back to medium high, same as we had it before. And I'm going to put my 6 tablespoons of butter in here. And we're going to let that melt. Maybe go get some more wine. Give this a little swirl. As you can see, it's on that high heat, and you can already start to see that, oh boy, there's a hair. There's a hair. Normally I put my hair up when I cook, but you know, I'm vain. For filming purposes, I was like, no, I don't want to put my hair up. I look ridiculous with my hair up. I'm going to put it down. And now I'm getting hair in the food. Okay, I'm just going to show you really quickly, like, you can see that we're starting to get some like burnt looking pieces here at the bottom of the pan. That's nothing to be worried about. We're actually really excited about that. Once we put in the onions, once we put in the liquid, all of that is just going to add to the flavor. So don't worry about it. In fact, try to kind of scrape them up. Try to get them in your butter. Try to get them into your onions. That's all just really, really good flavor. And I still have a little bit of butter that's not quite melted yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and toss in my onions. Stir that up. Sometimes I give the pan a little shake to get them nice and evenly dispersed along the bottom of the pan. And because this recipe doesn't really call for much salt, I'm going to start adding a little seasoning in now. Just a little pinch of salt. And what we are looking for on the onions is for them to start to be a little bit translucent and soft. Okay, and these are looking pretty good to me. I'll show you. They're looking pretty good. So at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. Little blop of garlic. Little blop of ginger. Actually, might want a little more garlic. Remember, I like garlic. Never enough garlic. All right, and then we're gonna just start stirring that in. And now you should be really starting to smell quite a bit. And we want to make sure that the garlic and the ginger have about 40 seconds to a minute to really start to open up and infuse those onions. And then we are going to add our spice blend. That we made with the brown sugar and the garam masala and all that other good stuff. And again, we're just going to give it 40 seconds to a minute to really open up those seasonings. You'll really start to smell it. And then the next thing to go in is our tomato sauce, and we'll just put the whole can in there. Stir that in. Again, if you're seeing any of those little burnt bits on the bottom, try to scrape them up into your sauce. And then once you got that in there, we are going to go in with our cream. That's the good stuff right there. Okay. And as I mentioned, my family likes our Tikka Masala a little bit on the spicier side. So this is when I'm going to add in a little bit of that cayenne pepper too. A little bit goes a long way, so I'm just going to start small. You can always add more. It's a lot harder to take it away. So start small and adjust as needed. And we're just going to keep stirring this. And then we add back our chicken. I'm going to get my plate of chicken. Just add that right back in there. And if that chicken wasn't fully cooked before, it will definitely finish off now. We're going to let that simmer and it will thicken a little bit as it simmers. This is a good time to taste test. Check your seasonings. Is it spicy enough? Is it salty enough? Does it need anything? And mine definitely needs salt. So it always needs salt. Every time I make it, it just needs, I'm going to give it 3 pinches because it really needs to liven up a little bit. And actually probably a little bit more cayenne as well. I'll try it again. See how that did. We're getting closer. I think that my heat, the spicy level is pretty good. I think it just needs more salt. You know, you have to figure that tomato sauce is pretty bland. The cream is pretty bland. It does take some salt to get all those flavors to really shine. All right, guys, don't judge me, but it still needs more salt. Don't judge. And actually, you know, I think maybe even a little more garlic. But I don't want to add raw garlic at this point. I'm going to actually add some powdered garlic. And that's boiling pretty good. I'm going to kick that down a little bit. think I kicked it down too much. Okay. Fourth time is a charm. Oh yeah, that's pretty perfect. All right, so I do want this to simmer and thicken up a little bit. While this is simmering, I'm going to chop up a little bit of cilantro as a garnish, which is totally optional, but it does make it look quite pretty. All right, I got a bunch of cilantro here. I'm just going to cut off the end of it. Kind of get it into a pile here, and then just give it a rough chop. That direction, and that direction. Okay, so we've got some cilantro ready to go. And I'm going to give that tikka masala another quick stir. All right, the tikka masala is looking actually pretty thick, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the burner. And then we don't have to worry about that anymore. Got my cilantro chopped. The other thing that it's nice to serve tikka masala with is traditional naan bread. It comes like this, stone fire naan. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's kind of hard to find in the grocery store. I found this today in the deli section, the bakery deli section. So, but I cut these, I heat them up in the microwave, quick and easy, cut them up into fourths, and I serve it with my tikka masala. So now for the assembly, we're just gonna take some of our rice, put a little bit into the bowl there. Get some of this chicken tikka masala. Put that in there. And a little fresh cilantro. And a little triangle of our naan bread. Doesn't that look delicious? I know it smells delicious. All right, moment of truth. One little perfect bite, get some rice, get some chicken, and some sauce. You can see the steam. It's still really piping hot. Oh yeah, it's really good. It's just like the restaurant. It's just like the restaurant. If you don't have an Indian food restaurant nearby, if you've never had Indian food, you gotta give this a try. It's amazing. Well, thanks for joining me tonight. I really hope that you cooked along with me, or if you didn't tonight, that maybe next time you will. And if you do, I would love it if you would send me a comment and let me know how it went. Let me know what you thought about the dish. This is my very first YouTube video, but this channel, I really want the videos to go slow. I want you to feel like you can cook along and not be stressed and do things step by step and really learn kind of the basic techniques and the timing behind cooking so that everything gets done at the same time when it's supposed to. And I would just really appreciate it if you could like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps get my content out there. So thank you so much for joining me today. And if you did cook along, I hope that you're really enjoying what you're eating right now. Bon appetit.